Welcome to Impumelelo Mentorship podcast, where I have made the commitment to rise as I rise with others by making mentorship accessible to all. Now, since the honor of being selected as Miss South Africa runner-up on August 10th, 2024, I've been dedicated to sparking meaningful conversations that inspire our young people to dream beyond their realm of reality. Now, today I am so honored to be joined by Nomndeni, who is a dynamic entrepreneur, conversation strategist, and the founder of Agenda Women. With over 15 years of experience in branding, media, and community building, Nomndeni has dedicated her career to empowering women to work smart and live well. Get ready for a conversation that will inspire, motivate, and challenge your perspective. Nomndeni, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
I'm just so excited. You are one of the busiest women to get a hold of.
Listen, I'm grateful. I always say, busy is good.
Busy is good.
Because it's seasonal.
It is.
It's seasonal and it should be seasonal. It's not something that you should feel like you always need to be busy. But I came into 2025 and I knew.
That it's going to be
I
that
knew
year.
it was going to be that year. And I just told myself I'll sleep in 2026.
Oh, what a feeling.
I'll sleep in January 2026.
Fast forward.
Yeah.
Can we just thrive in this year?
Yeah,
And carry it on to the next
Absolutely.
year?
I'll just do what I need to do in this season.
I love this energy. Nomndeni, I met you,
Yes.
I think about 4 years ago.
Really?
No, 3 years
I remember where you were sitting and where it was. I just don't remember the
the
timeline.
timeline. And when I met you, I had already heard about you
Oh,
extensively.
okay.
That you all about women.
You didn't act like that.
Really?
You were nice, but you were like, yeah, you were like, because every time I meet people, I never know. I have to wait for someone. Then I'm like, oh, this is.
But you've got that intimidating demeanor.
Apparently.
And once you get to know you, you're like, oh my word, what a woman.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
got, and then it's almost like there's this shell. And then you break it, just a little hint of a smile, and you're like, what a warm human.
I think it's a Cancerian thing.
Okay.
The crab, the covering, and then we're soft inside.
Yeah.
I think we're definitely, I find that I see that with a lot of Cancerian people, but also I'm very aware when I move in spaces. And I don't know, but also, being raised in a Christian home, you're kind of told how you need to act as a girl. And I think I kind of internalized that, like kind of accessing power, but also being respectful and reserved and allowing, the moment to kind of shape what it wants to be.
And I can 100% relate. I mean, I grew up in a staunch Christian home. And so, you don't overwhelm someone, all these rules, but you're very hearty and you're so warm. And I only knew about you. You're welcome. About, the empowerment element, that you've got a few businesses that you run. And so I was also enlightened that you have a human.
Yes.
And now I know you've got 2 humans.
2 humans, yes.
So I want you to backtrack your stark Christianity background, your growing up, everything. Tell us everything about it.
Sure, it always feels like when, you have to go through that. I'm turning 41 this year. And I'm always like, okay, how far do I go? But essentially, I grew up in a small town called Newcastle. My grandmother was everything to me. My values were shaped by everything she guided in me. My faith is also a big part of my values. I went to a school, like a township school, the typical story. And I was just sharing now, I did a personal branding workshop with a company, and I was saying, my grandmother was so intentional around empowering us because I learned how to speak English going to Saturday classes. And there was a lady who would teach us English. And when I think about my comfort and the nuance of the language now, I'm just like, I'm so grateful she did that, because it just allowed it to be a very easy way of me communicating, an important one because it's the language of the world. Yeah. So I left Newcastle to come to Joburg in 2001 to study marketing.
Nice.
So I studied marketing. Back then, it was Wits Technicon in Auckland Park. It's UJ now. And I finished marketing. I had my girl and I had my boy. I was married and then I was not married. And then I started my first business when I was 25. My second business, I think I was 26. And my third business, I must have been in my early 30s, which is the business that I give all my energy to and I'm focused on now. Well, one of the 3.
Yeah. Oh my, what a journey.
Yeah.
What a life.
It's so difficult to summarize in one go, but really that's the core of it. That's really the core of it.
And I can relate. I mean, I went to UJ. I feel like I'm seeing a lot of myself.
Yeah.
I went to UJ. I was raised by a Gogo.
Yes.
And you know, you touched on something just as you started telling us about your journey. Is that investment that your grandmother made.
Yeah.
And I think it's such an important investment. I mean, Impumelelo mentorship is about that. You know, someone who is in your life, who's the guiding light of your next chapter of your next journey.
Absolutely.
And now, Nomndeni, you find yourself opening your first business. You know, where do you even look to?
Oh my
Where
gosh.
do you even go? What's that pivotal moment? You know, I was reading about you and I found that you had an organization rather called Fuse.
Yes.
Academy for Girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. This is another similarity, you know, passion for women and girls. I started my first business in 2009. It was a DJing school for girls.
Oh.
And I always say if my first business and my second business had a baby, it would be Agenda Woman, because my second business was a communication strategy. It was a creative agency.
Okay.
And with the work I do now in Agenda Woman, it is focused, of course, on women, but a lot of it is around understanding women as a demographic, as an audience.
Okay.
So the B2B element is, of course, helping brands reach that audience in a way that we believe should be purpose-led. And for our B2C offering, it really is about the empowerment of women and really getting them to a place where they need empowerment, to a place where they're empowered. Because I think you can't be stuck on the empowerment conversation.
No.
You need to get to a place where you are empowered and you take action, especially for the next generation as well. So when I did my first business, it was just, I didn't know what I was doing. You know, I had gone through my career years, I had had babies and I was working, but I quickly realized for myself that I don't think I was meant to be employed. And I'm lucky that I realized in my 20s, because I think in your 20s you're crazy. So I jumped. You know, I think if I'd realized later, I might have been miserable because it was just not the place where I would thrive.
Okay.
And I don't believe that everyone is an entrepreneur. I think that's very important also. You know, I just saw that for me, it was not the place where I could thrive. So I left. And at the time, my friend was talking about studying at DJing school. And because I wanted to leave, I just put myself into that.
Okay.
Finding a company that would license the cause, a lot of grace and luck, you know, in terms of having a company that could do that.
Different.
You know? Finding the location, getting the rental stuff. But the thing that exposed to me that creating systems came easy for me.
Okay.
I wouldn't have known that I can do that until I was afforded the opportunity to do it. You know, I say a lot of young people now, when they have opportunity, really not understanding that that's the canvas for you to discover who you are. So you have to go into it with the mindset that I'm going to do my best and I'm going to discover what happens when I do my best. I think starting that school for me it unearths something in me that I was not going to be able to access in corporate. Because the challenges were so enormous, I got to understand that I'm a great problem solver. So I always just encourage young people when they do get an opportunity, especially when you're in your 20s, give it your best shot, because that's where you're going to learn what you're capable of.
Oh, my word. Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
But that revelation is not easy, Nomndeni. For you to have that moment to realize that this is not for me and this is the avenue I'm going to take. Because, you know, oftentimes you'll find that we're crippled by everything else that surrounds us.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, you know, my best next bet is this direction. I'm going to have the salary. I'm not going to take a chance on myself. You know, the other day I had a conversation with a friend and they were saying, you know, the best businesses have been started in a garage. You look at Facebook, you look at Virgin Active. I mean, Richard Branson has done incredible.
Yeah.
And so for you to take that leap and to take a redirection in your journey of life, what was that trigger? What was that? I know I deserve better. I know this is the direction that I need to go. And to go into DJing.
Yeah.
It's quite a,
you know, it's interesting. Like, I don't think anyone has ever asked me that question, or maybe I've never thought about it that way. Nomndeni, I don't like being mediocre.
I love this.
I just don't like it. I just cannot sit in a place where I am mediocre. That was enough motivation for me to say anything is better than what I'm feeling right now. I just did not exist for that place at that time. You know, I remember TD saying, and I'm gonna contextualize this against what I want to say, but this is what I'm feeling as I explain this. You know, TD Jakes was talking, I think it was an interview with Oprah, and he said, don't give a big size vision to a small sized person, right? It felt like that for me. It felt like I'm going to explode if I stay there. Because there was so much that I wanted to do, become, be, explore, that it was just not worth it to be in that place. But also, I want to say I was young. I was 25, you know. And yes, I had kids and I was married, but I just don't know. I do think founders are a little crazy. You have to
gotta be a bit crazy.
You have to be a little crazy to think that you can do the kind of things that founders think that they can do.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree.
So it was a little bit of the madness, but also mediocrity is just, I just can't stomach it.
And that's profound. I mean, you've just put a statement out of us not normalizing generic.
Yeah, no, I just can't.
And seeing better for ourselves.
I mean, it also speaks to the work I'm doing now, right, about personal branding.
That's exactly where
because I really believe that everyone can cultivate something in them that will make them stand out. And standing out doesn't mean you have to be the president of the country, but it means you can be exceptional in the department that you work in. If you are a sweeper, you can be exceptional in doing that. It's fundamentally about values and really getting to the bottom of how you can use your values to tell your story in rooms where you don't even have access. So for me, it really is a fundamental belief that everyone, if they are willing, can cultivate an amazing story, be impactful, and bring something into the world that we haven't seen before.
And how do we unlock that? How do I say, Nomndeni, I'm ready? You know, I've had a revelation and I want to take the next step. I want to prioritize myself. I want to put myself out as a personal brand that is visible on social media platforms in this discipline. Because there's a video I watched on TikTok. And a lot of us are now starting to be encouraged to be TikTokers.
Yeah, I still struggle.
Me too. And this lady was saying, find a niche, find your thing. And that can be quite difficult. Like, I mean, you can do makeup, you can do beauty, it's a vast network of things you can do. And at the same time, you don't want to be the same comparison of what already exists.
Yes.
So how do you distinctively grow that personal brand, staying in your own? Like, yes, you're saying the values, the identifying what you can be good at or what you want to focus on. But where do I go? How do I even start with that initiation phase?
So the first thing I do when I do personal brand coaching is start with why.
Okay.
Impumelelo, there's a lot of opportunities in the world. I can tell you that you're beautiful, you're smart, you're tall, you can fit that opportunity, but you will not sustain it if you don't have the fundamental driving instinct to be impactful in that space, right? So I can say to you, you know what? I think you'd be great as a model. Yeah. But if it's not fundamentally the thing that drives you, you're not going to sustain it. So you will not be able to build a personal brand because you won't be consistent. It won't come naturally for you to figure out what's the next thing to do, what's different about the industry. So I'm not the type of person who says, look for opportunity. I'm the person who says, look inward. So for me, personal branding is not about finding something that exists outside and fitting yourself into that. It's about finding the thing that you are willing to fight for. And then how do we package that in a way that gives you opportunity? So I think about personal branding. And yes, niche sounds similar to what I'm saying, but niche is outward facing, I'm inward facing. I want to sit with you and discover, what do you wake up thinking about at night? What's bothering your spirits? Like, what's the thing in the season of your life that you look at and you say something should be done about that? For you, it's mentoring young girls. There's a lot of people who do it, but no one will do it the way that you're doing it. No one will put in the work in the way that you're doing it. No one will come with the concepts that you can come with because you have a different experience from the next person. And we need as many people mentoring girls as possible. Yeah. I think sometimes in an effort to be unique, we want to create things that are not going to be impactful.
True.
Sometimes the job at hand is the job at hand. And if the job at hand is that we need to empower women and girls, then that's the job at hand. You will do it differently from me. But we can come together and figure out how to do it in a way that's impactful. But in the way we'll show up, it will be very different. When you go to your social media, when someone goes to your social media and goes to mine, we're both speaking to the same gender, but in very different ways.
100%.
And you're making money and I'm making money because we're also prioritizing different target audiences. We're trying. So I think the scarcity mindset sometimes is an issue as well. thinking that you have to go outside the bounds of what's happening in order to be able to monetize opportunity.
Yes.
But truly, opportunity, I believe, can be created by you identifying what you do exceptionally well and having someone help you figure out where to do it.
And I can attest to that. It's also coupled by consistency.
Absolutely.
It's coupled by consistency, taking the first step. And Nomndeni, you say something and it brings me to the point of relevancy. How do I then maintain that? You've had such a vast journey in your business and you finally found the thing. To get there, what does it take? It takes that pitfall, it takes that hardship, it takes that no that we potentially struggle to accept. So how's that transition for you of growth? How's that been for you?
It's words are so important for me. Language is so critical for me. I never chase relevancy. I stick to consistency because relevancy is subjective. You will catch what I'm doing based on what you're looking for. So I might not be relevant for you if you're not looking for what I'm doing. But at any given point in my timeline, my personal timeline, I want to be consistent so that when you are looking for what I'm doing, you will find me. But the reason you can't find me now is that I'm not doing what you're looking for. And I think sometimes we try to fit ourselves in the keyholes of people's lives, ideologies, societal relevances and norms that we lose ourselves in that. I see a lot of people who, the idea of being extremely successful and lonely and depressed and on drugs and all of that is the pursuit of the thing that makes sense in this time instead of the pursuit of self and figuring out where is your role in what's happening right now. So for me, consistency is key. And I feel like we're in the season of personal branding for some weird reason.
100%.
Right?
I couldn't agree more.
And it's such a strange thing because I came across personal branding in 2009. But because I've been consistent in my messaging around brand building, now the season is right for me. But I did not pivot in all the other seasons to try and fit into those seasons. In all the seasons, I tried to figure out who am I in this season. And when the alignment happens, it finds you at a place where you are emotionally ready, where you have capacity to internalize everything that comes with success. So I want to encourage everyone to try and avoid being relevant because that's the easy thing. I can be relevant. I can put on a bikini, and post something and I can get 10,000 likes. There's things that we just know work, right? The most important thing you can do is figuring out what works for you by defining what success looks like for you. So as I've navigated my journey, I do find that I've been quite resilient, but my resilience has been supported by my why. Consistently. Impumelelo, I'm not trying to be anyone. I'm not trying to be in any circle. I'm not trying to be on any show. I am very comfortable with my pace, my journey, my life, my challenges, my wins. And I'm convicted that I will continue to succeed. And I haven't even started right now. If I just stick to what I am meant to be doing, I will be supported by my skill, my personality, and all the ways that I'm designed to serve that purpose. So I'm very comfortable with the journey of discovering that, and I'm willing to fight for that.
Oh, my word. So you know what, Nomndeni? I'm listening to you speak, and I'm so in tune with everything that you're saying. And for me, what's really standing out and the biggest admiration is your focus.
Yeah.
You are so clear-headed. You've got a nice narrative that you've folded in building the woman that you are. And I find that, you grew up in Newcastle. I grew up in Soweto. And sometimes they'll call you the outlier, the ordinary.
Oh, absolutely.
The extraordinary.
Absolutely.
Right?
Who do you think?
100% relatable.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Right? You're the odd anomaly. And it's easy to mold you and put you back into the box of where we think you belong.
Absolutely.
And you reiterate that you fight. You fight for your space because you know you belong there.
Sometimes you have to create the space.
And that's where I'm going.
Sometimes it doesn't exist.
And that's that blank canvas, right? How? Where? How? And how do I keep that resilience? How do I, say, I know my lane and this is what I want to do and I'm going to consistently fight and I'm going to grow in this.
Community has played a big part for me. Intentional community. at the beginning, it was my grandmother who shaped really the person that I would become today. Her resilience, the way she carried herself, her values, I gravitated towards that. But also she was intentional about the environments she placed me in. You know, the Bible says you should raise your child in the way that you want them to live. As a mother today, I realize how much that has benefited me. Because when you're young and you're ambitious, you really believe that you know everything. Having a grandmother that was as strong as mine in saying, you're brilliant, but this house is my rules, has really allowed me to understand how to pace myself even in life. When I think I have these great ideas, how do you stop and assess? What does it mean? What is a great idea? What does it mean in this ecosystem, in this environment, in a third world country? That first community for me, which, yes, there was a lot going on in family, but I placed my eyes on my grandmother, and that helped shape me at that time. As I've navigated life, I have been fortunate that by virtue of my personality, I've drawn people who are similar to me, which has its pros and cons, but it's very important because you need to see the thing that you want to build, and you need people to affirm the thing that you want to build. And when you're around people who believe in you, they affirm your madness. Absolutely. Right? And when they affirm your madness, they make it accessible for you. So someone will come to you and say, Nomndeni, how do you do it? And for you, it's just like, this is my normal life. That is because of the ecosystem that you've created around you that supports that. Today, as I think I'm going through, I don't think I am going through another pivot in my life where I'm going from a season of survival into thriving. I'm going from being empowered into being powerful. I realized that I have to be intentional again about my Mount Rushmore. Who are the people that I'm talking to? What are they saying back to me? Is their vision bigger than what I think is big right now? Because if I'm around people who are dreaming bigger than me, it makes my dream accessible. 100%. But when you're around people who don't dream as big as you, it makes your vision impossible. So it's very important to be intentional about community as you start to design your life, as you start to pursue your big vision, as you start to really think through how you are going to be impactful. We say it so much that the people around you impact you, but I don't think you will understand that until you start to pursue big goals, because big goals intimidate you. But when the people around you have bigger goals, they make yours accessible.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, right? It's a journey of discovery.
Absolutely.
You're finding the right spaces to be in, and sometimes you have to eliminate along the way. I think that's the hardest pill to swallow.
When you're young, it is. When you're older, it's not. I do that so easily.
Really, eliminate.
Yeah, you know, the stakes are high when I think you are where I am. The stakes are high.
Yeah.
I have to ask myself, the thing I'm pursuing versus the person in front of me, what is the great goal? And sometimes eliminating doesn't mean that someone is not in your life, but I think of relationships in concentric circles. There are people in my immediate circle who I engage with, and I literally tell everyone who those people are, because I never want anyone to assume that they're there. So I will tell you up front. This is the person that's in that circle. I might not tell you which part of the circle you're in, but I make it clear that my priorities are with the people that are in my immediate community. They are curated. I'm intentional about who they are. The amount of time I spend with them, what I talk to them about when I talk to them, that's the parts that I am focused on. The rest of the people, they come in and out as the season permits. You know, someone said to me, you need to think about it as you're on stage. You're on the stage of your life.
Yes.
Who is behind the curtain? Who's on the side? Who's at the VIP section? Who's at the end of the hall? You can't take the person at the end of the hall and treat them like the person who's on the side of the stage. It's a mistake, and it is foolery to do that. You're just stupid when you do that.
Absolutely.
Not everyone can make it to your stage. And you need to hold your stage as sacred and be intentional about who is there when you are delivering the performance of your life.
And the truest ones will stay even in sacred times.
And you know what? Sometimes we do shift and we change and we adjust, and sometimes people leave and they come back. But the key is understanding that when you have a big vision, and sometimes we don't have access to that when we're younger, but when you eventually have access to the big vision, you understand that it's on you.
100%.
It's on you.
you have to be honest and you have to own it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now, Nomndeni, as women, we really have a lot to carry. And I don't have children. So right now I'm looking after me. So you've got a business.
Best years.
Those are the
Best years.
when I'm my own responsibility.
Yeah.
And now you've balanced this vast life. How? How? And still remain focused. And you speak about seasons. And at times those seasons may not be, you may still be thriving, but it may not be the best Nomndeni. And then how do you carry that balance through? I mean, one morning you wake up, you are the excellent Nomndeni, still thriving. And one morning it's just a downfall, So how do you find that balance, that I am woman, I'm in charge, I've got multiple areas that I function?
I think the myth sometimes is that you have to balance. And I want to be careful in saying this because I also don't want people to understand the importance of living well.
Yeah.
The slogan, if I can call it that, for Agenda Women is working smart and living well. Because I fundamentally believe that you have to find harmony for yourself between those two worlds. And people use the word balance. I use harmony. And I feel how I see it is at different seasons, I might be working hard and then I'm not doing my best at living well. I haven't had a season where I was working hard and living well, working smart and living well, and it was balanced and it was just like this.
Okay.
Like, it's the same thing I said at the beginning of our conversation, that coming into 2025, I knew this is my work season, So I have to be intentional about my living well piece. I literally live off my calendar because if it's not on my calendar, it's not
happening. Yeah.
And my calendar also helps me be intentional about now it's time to put work down and it's time to go to gym and it's time to go to lunch with a friend and it's time to go spend time with my children. That's the only way I can do it with intention where life does not overtake me. But when I need to go down and get the job done, I communicate with people in my life that now I'm going in. I will come out for air, but right now this is what is required of me.
Hibernation.
So I think harmony is important and intention is important, but I think making people believe that it's not important to have a balanced life is also not safe. The amount of mental health challenges that people are facing today is unnecessary. It is largely informed by the idea of success that is not personal. Someone else wants to make $10 million US. Someone else is fine with 1 million rands, and it's okay.
That's fine.
Everyone should have autonomy around how they define success. And based on that definition, then they decide how they can move. For me, the idea of success and going hard and all these things that people see on the outside might not be true to how I live my life. There might be grace really in how you see me. I do my best. And doing my best does not mean that every day I look like I have everything in control. It means some days I choose to opt out of control or being in charge. And I just rest,
Just take it, just hibernate.
And also, we're seeing curated versions of people.
Yeah.
You see a curated version of my life. When you see my social media and I'm working all the time, I'm not working all the time. I'm not working all the time.
Yeah.
So I want people to just tune out of the narrative of working all the time and understanding that we have to interface with life and work and both are equally important.
Absolutely. I'm definitely changing work-life integration to work-life harmony.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's how we're going.
Absolutely.
We probably way over time. And, I want to go back to something so profound that you said that I think we should all start to get into. And that's from survival to thriving.
Absolutely.
And from empowered to empower. And maybe saying it, I'm paraphrasing it the way you said it earlier. And I want you to just leave us with some nuggets of wisdom. Like you've had an extensive journey. And I can't believe that there has been some stories that weren't successes.
Yeah.
And some that were extreme successes or potentially looking like successes. And it's easy to maybe see something that hasn't even become. What are the words of motivation, of nuggets of wisdom that you'd leave with us in those ups and downs, that roller coaster moment?
Sure, life is long and it's beautiful. It should be long and beautiful. You don't have to do everything at the same time. I really believe that we're in constant conversation with life about who we are becoming. It's a conversation. It's like a story. Can you imagine if you started a movie and then the main guy died at the 5 minutes and then like
Anticlimax.
Like why else am I staying?
Yeah.
Allow the conversation to unfold and stay present in what life is telling you about you through your relationships, through your decisions. And when the story does not sound like what you want it to be, you can change it. But it's a process. It's a process. I am big on the conversation around survival to thriving because I think so many of us are in survival mode and we think we're thriving. And thriving has nothing to do with your finances. I've met so many people who are very comfortable financially, but they're in survival mode.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to figure out how to hold on to everything that they have at the detriment of who they could possibly be. I think we intentionally need to move our posture to designing our lives and saying, this is what I want my life to look like. And my priority is something else.
Yeah.
I think that diversity of thought would allow more people to move in the world without shame, to move in the world without an inferiority complex that has very little to do with their capabilities, but a lot to do with what they believe they should be doing instead of what the world, the conversation with life is telling them they should be doing. So for me, I think life is long, life is beautiful. It has its ups and downs. Take them in, stop when you need to stop, get back up. All of it is telling you something about yourself, and all of it is important in you moving from needing empowerment to being powerful.
Oh my. I feel like this was my mentorship session. I found another mentor.
Oh my gosh. It's so true. It's so true. Like, I think the privilege of being alive is the lessons that life teaches you. And you just have to take them in.
Oh man, I've got a notebook.
Take
I'm
them in.
sorted. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, this was so special.
You're welcome.
All right, Nomndeni, 5 questions.
Okay.
Quick, fast.
Rapid fire always continue, okay?
What is the one piece of advice you would give to your younger self?
Everything will work out. Everything will be fine.
Trust the process.
Trust the process. Everything will be fine.
All right. What is the one thing you're most afraid of?
Sure. I'm so scared. I don't even want to say it out loud because it's like really like I've experienced a lot of loss, so it's connected to loss, and I kind of don't want to go into it because I'm just like I don't want to. Yeah, but I don't have a lot of fears except the things that probably are not in my control that I'm gonna have to face one day.
Absolutely.
And loss is definitely there.
It's a constant.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll move from it.
Yes.
Third one. What's the first thing you eat for breakfast?
I don't eat. I have coffee first. It's bad. It's bad. I literally, the first thing I have is black coffee, no sugar, no tea, no milk.
Oh my word. Dead or alive? Dead or alive. This is what we have. All right. Nomndeni, if you had to meet an influential individual who has inspired you or potentially you see yourself in, who would that be?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive?
It always shifts for me depending on the season that I'm in. And I have access to a lot of influential individuals who I want to have a conversation with. Who do I like? I like Barack Obama. I really like. I like his awareness when it comes to language, posture. I can't say he's like the person, but he's just the one that comes up now.
Me too. I love him. I love both of them. All right, last one. To your kids, what would you say that you haven't necessarily put out there or said?
Everything is possible. Anything you put your mind to, you can do it. Everything is possible. I think even in how I engage with them on a day-to-day, it's always about figuring out how I equip them for their big dreams. I really want them to dream big. I want them to shock me. Yeah. You know, everything is possible.
I love it. Alrighty, that's it.
Yay.